And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Wasted Ammo Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Stephen Broyles. That's Eric Mavis. Raise your hand.
Hello.
That's Kyle Rogers.
What up?
And today is January 22nd, 2019, and this is episode 296. It is Wednesday, so it's time for Wasted Wednesday.
Wasted Wednesday with some special guests.
Yes.
I jumped ahead of you again, and you're welcome.
Go ahead. Take it.
No, this is your show. You do it. Please.
Fine, I'll do it. So today we have Josh Winsett, or otherwise known as Opie and the Smokies, from the Red Beard Society. And we also have Brandon Lewis, otherwise known as Barrett Brandon, from the 2A rally in Richmond, Virginia this past Monday. Gentlemen, welcome to the Wasted Ammo Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So is Barrett Brandon, is that the official nickname now?
I've heard several versions, none of which I'm opposed to. Are we allowed to swear on the show?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd have to say Big Dick Brandon is my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's not factually accurate, but it's my favorite.
That's awesome.
Hey, nobody needs to know that but you. So
You just milk that cow as long as you can.
exactly. I saw a Big Balls Brandon today. But, you know, it's You showed up to a 2A rally with a Barrett 50 cal and just let everyone know that you had our back from a mile away, if need be, or you could take out a vehicle or a drone. I mean, the opportunities are endless with that thing.
Or according to the media, airplane.
Right. So how was it lugging that thing around?
Oh man, my shoulders are still really sore. It was something. I guess I wasn't thinking. Like, I've worn body armor, for a few days. Like, I was never in the military. Full disclosure, I was in the Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. That's like my highest rank achieved. But yeah, so I've worn a plate carrier, and plates for like a day training, doing stuff, or just like around the store trying to feel cool. I've worn a helmet, for like a day, trying to get used to that. I do a lot of backpacking, a lot of camping, so I'm used to carrying that. But never doing all of those things together, that sucked.
I'm sure. No, it's
Picking
one of
the
the things
heaviest
that
gun
we've.
there is.
What's that, Josh?
Picking the heaviest gun there is to tote around.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I'm like, man, that's a long day. I mean, it's good that the rally was only about 6 hours instead of a full 12 on your feet.
I'm sure the adrenaline was pumping. It probably didn't feel that heavy while you're there, but then today or right afterwards, I'm sure you're pretty sore. So both of you guys were at the rally. Tell us your thoughts.
Oh man, it was awesome. I don't think it could have went any better, to be honest with you. Besides, maybe if we could have I think I saw today that they went ahead and passed the red flag law anyway. So that's the only thing that could have been better, in my opinion, was that we actually opened the senator's eye or the governor's eyes. But we all know that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, the rally was. I've never been to anything like that before. I've never really been politically active, I guess you could say. And that was a crazy first experience. It was just an impressive show of just Americans all getting together and just representing freedom. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, now, Brandon, you said that you've never really been a political guy. Being Barrett Brandon now, I think you're kind of forced to from now on, right?
I guess so, yeah. Like, I was joking with the guys, like, I better start hitting the gym because now I have to go to every Pro 2A event, and I have to bring it. In a few years, I'm sure I'm going to have to get, like, a 20 millimeter or something. Like, the 50 cal won't be enough in a few years.
Yeah, that's very true. You know what? Here's the thing. If you do not get an automatic invite to SHOT Show next year, I'm going to be pissed for you, okay?
I'm surprised you didn't get one to come out because it's still going this week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's people tagging me on Instagram trying to get, like, Barrett, fly this guy out, like, put him in the booth. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
If you insist.
So
awesome.
Brandon, what started you in firearms? It's a question we always ask every guest that's on our show. How did you get into firearms? Was it since you were a little kid? Did you come into it late?
Definitely since I was a little kid. Typical American little boy, cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers. I had every toy gun, cap gun, display gun, replica gun, you name it. Then got into Boy Scouts as a kid, got rifle merit badge. Dad took me to a gun store, bought my first gun, little 22 bolt action. I still have it. And took a job working at a Gander Mountain when I was going to college, and really learned like the business side of the guns, not just the hobby side. And where I'm from, we had a lot of gun stores, but there were no indoor ranges attached to a gun store. In fact, there were no indoor ranges at all. So 2012, wrote a business plan, found a guy even crazier than me to loan me some money. And we built the store. We literally, it was just a field. We built the store by hand and opened up in 2014, and I've been going ever since.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So what is it like? Because you're also in New York. What part of New York are you in?
So I'm over in Western New York. I'm just outside of Rochester. So about an hour east of Buffalo, Niagara Falls, that area.
Okay. I was actually just up at Niagara Falls this past summer with my family. Did the whole tour, boat ride and everything. Got soaking wet. Upstate New York and Western New York are just beautiful, beautiful areas. Tons of vineyards and everything. But the one thing that a lot of our listeners know about New York is that it's not gun friendly. So how is your experience operating through all the red tape in owning a gun store in a very blue state?
Sure. Yeah, it's really tough. Some of you may be familiar with the New York SAFE Act. It was passed. It's one of the toughest gun control laws that have been passed recently. That passed literally like the month we were breaking ground. Like all the paperwork had been signed. There was no going back. Like we're opening an indoor range and gun store, and they passed some very strict gun control regulation on us. So I've kind of been living with it, as a business, since day one. But it's tough. It's tough, especially talking to people in other states. A lot of people don't realize the requirements for New York to buy a handgun. You got to get a pistol permit first, even if you never want to carry it, even if you just want to own it in your own home just for target shooting. You have to get a pistol permit. Usually takes anywhere from 6 months to sometimes a year to get, which is ridiculous. Most of the time, it's just sitting on someone's desk waiting for them to do the next step. And then once you have your pistol permit, you not only have to go to the store and buy the handgun, you have to fill out paperwork, take it to your local county clerk's office at the county seat, then get it added to your pistol permit by serial number. Then you can come back to the dealer, and then you can do a 4473, and then you can take it home. So,
oh my God,
huge hassle. It's really hard to do business when there's that many opportunities for someone to back out of the sale. And then, yeah, your choices are limited. We have very few options sometimes when it comes to certain models. Sometimes they don't make it with a 10-round mag, so I can't get it. That's really tough.
I'm sure.
Dude, that's
It's
ridiculous.
so many hoops to jump.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but not sorry that I can go to a firearm store here and get a handgun in like 30 minutes,
If that.
Yeah, if that. It's pretty quick.
I
But
picked up 2 frames today in 15.
yeah, hey, there you go. So and this is going to sound like a real stupid question, and I'm sorry, again, sorry, not sorry kind of thing. With your pistol sales, I'm sure with the amount of strict gun laws you have, does that really deter people from going through that entire process in order to feel more safe, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of people who, totally legal, law-abiding people. There's no reason they couldn't pass a 4473. There's no reason they should be denied the right to own a handgun. But, in New York, we definitely treat it as a privilege. Like, if it pleases the crown, may I have a permit, please? And there's a lot of people who just don't want to deal with that. There's still a lot of people in New York. We also have a law of mandatory background checks. Every gun sale by law has to have a background check done on it. So we've kind of got rid of that gun show loophole, so to speak. But there's still a lot of guys, there's no registry for long guns. So there's still a lot of guys who, they'll just give their buddy $200. Here's a Mossberg 500. Nobody knows I have it. And it's my home defense gun. So there's a lot of people who would want to do the same thing with a handgun. Again, no reason they couldn't have it. They just prefer to be more discreet about it, and they don't get that choice.
I find that's kind of the main or key deterrent that prevents people from actually carrying a gun on their person or applying for a gun permit, is that they're so shy of the steps they have to take, and they feel like it's this long, drawn-out process. And, like you said, in some states like New York, it is that long, drawn-out process. In states like Indiana, it's fingerprints, a background check, you wait a few weeks and it's in the mail. It's not that hard. And I would love to see some kind of national reciprocity to where we can carry into New York or into Virginia, and the states can't say jack about it. But that process needs to be streamlined in order to make it easy for every American that is willing and able to carry a firearm. They shouldn't be intimidated by the system.
Well, even though Indiana, our system is very simple, like Eric said, it still stopped me from getting my concealed carry permit for a couple years.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to go through the headache of doing that.
Right.
So something that's even more restrictive, I can see how that affects a lot of people.
Well, what's crazy is before I moved up here to Indiana, I was living in Texas. Texas at that time, they had, it was basically like a 2-day sort of training that you had to do. I think it was 8 or 10 total hours, and so you had to go in class and sit through an entire safety brief, and then go out on the range and shoot, a handgun. And just
and
that
qualify.
alone, what'd you say?
And qualify with it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Just that alone deterred me. I mean, just because, again, at that time, I was the mindset that I was like, you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to carry a gun. I don't need a piece of paper to allow me to, exercise my rights. Well, I want to do things within the law. So whenever I got here to Indiana, I saw the fact that you could get it in just a couple weeks just by spending $100 or whatever it was, and for lifetime. There was no renewal time periods, nothing like that. So that's one of the nice things I like about living here is that. Now, some other people will seem to think that that's still too much, which I understand. I'm not going to share my views right now either way. But
so here in Indiana, I got mine in just over 2 weeks. In a place like New York, how long would it take?
So my county, I live in a rather rural county, and it still takes about 4 months total to actually, by the time you get your permit in hand, and that's pretty quick. Where my shop is, closer to Monroe County, where Rochester is, there was a time it took over a year. And again, I mean, it's a 2-page form. It's a front and back, and you get fingerprints, and you have 4 people write a letter of reference for you. 90% of that time, it's just sitting on somebody's desk, and they only sign them on the 3rd Tuesday of the month for 15 minutes, or, it's some arbitrary holdup. There's no actual reason that it takes that long. It's just whoever politically in power controls that. For instance, in Monroe County, they just had the county clerk's position change. As soon as the new county clerk took over, permit times went from over a year to about 6 months, which is still crazy. But, overnight you can cut the time in half for no reason.
It's so political. That's it pisses me off.
Right.
When I was in Indiana, I think it's gotten a lot better in Indiana too in the last 4 or 5 years, because when I applied for it, it took me about 4 months to get mine.
Yeah, mine was super quick. It wasn't even 3 weeks.
But now you guys actually have an identification card and all that, right?
Yeah, so we used to have this...
the pink slip. It was like a little pink
pink card.
Permit. You get
like this.
Yep.
And now you can send this in with $20, and you can get an actual plastic card with all that information on it.
Which I just did, and that card is so much better.
Yeah.
But you don't have to send that in. You get to keep it. So now I have 2.
Gotcha. So I laminated mine just for longevity. It's not like your Social Security card where you can't laminate it or whatever, and it's just printed on a crappy piece of cardboard,
Right?
Like the government would do. But yeah, so you can send it in, or that $20, and you get something that lasts a lot longer. And we just went from you can either get a renewable, free but renewable 5-year permit. So after 5 years, you have to reapply, go through the background check again, and it's renewed, no charge to you. Or you can still do the $120 or $125 fee for a lifetime permit.
That's what I got.
Yeah, same.
One and done.
That's
Be
right.
done with it. So,
in Tennessee,
Josh.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
I was just going to add that Tennessee is exactly like Texas. You have to it's a 8-hour class, and then it's about a 2-hour range day where you qualify with 50 shots. And half the people that were in my class were shooting guns that there's no way in hell they were ever going to be carrying. Like a 16-inch Python or something.
I kind of love that though. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
like circling back to New York. That's part of the crazy part. Most counties have no training requirements whatsoever. None. If you're, as hard as the process is, hard as it is, you just have to wait. Like in Monroe County, again, if you apply and you're legally allowed it, you'll get a permit, no training required, no qualifications, nothing. Just here's your permit, go buy a gun.
Yeah.
So
So
such a weird system.
right. Yeah, it definitely sounds a little weird. Kind of like my stance on the whole training to get your permit thing. For me, I feel like it may be a little bit unnecessary just because you don't spend a lot. Like 10 hours is not a lot of time at all to learn and retain much information. It's just not. We talk about on our show quite often about that whole muscle memory thing. Physiologically, it takes 20 minutes per day per skill for 12 straight weeks to develop that quote unquote muscle memory. And so just by science, by nature, that just 10 hours of, gun safety is not going to do anything for you at all. But if someone can take at least one thing away from it that helps them out, whether it be, to not point the gun at your foot when you're reloading or, something crazy like that. Stuff that we all know not to do, but maybe they don't. If they can take one thing away from it, that'd be great. But I still, it's of my belief, Brandon. I know that you're not, that you don't watch the show or listen to it, but I'm a concealed carry firearms instructor. Deal with non-lethal training aids primarily, and so it is of my opinion that every single person who carries a firearm needs to go get training on a regular basis. And that's not me trying to sell tickets to the gun show. That's me actually, being a responsible instructor, a moral, ethical instructor. But so I kind of have this like love-hate relationship with training to get your concealed carry permit. It's great, but it's also not in the same sense.
It's a very perishable skill.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
I feel like everyone, like it shouldn't be a requirement, but it's something that everyone should seek out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. It's so hard to walk that line of I think everyone should get training versus it's legally required and is now a hurdle you have to jump. That's a tough line to walk.
Because if you look at Eric's story, he bought his first handgun because he needed it. It was like a self-protection type thing. So if he lived in a different state where he had to wait a year to get it, like that puts you at a huge disadvantage. Luckily, you didn't need it.
Right.
Nothing ever came from it. But there's some people out there, maybe they have stalkers, ex-spouses. Like they could be in immediate danger and they have to wait 4 months, 6 months, a year. Like that's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
You bought yours in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's about 45 minutes to an hour north of Philadelphia. And I like to say it's right where George Washington crossed the Delaware River. And got my permit to carry there. I was in a relationship at the time where I was receiving death threats from the person I was dating, her ex. And after some debate, I was like, I was 22 years old, and I'm like, I have no way to protect myself. I have no means of defense, and I didn't come from a gun family. We didn't have guns in the house growing up. We didn't do hunting or anything like that. And I wasn't opposed to guns. My parents weren't opposed to guns, but we just weren't that family. And so I went to the courthouse. I applied for my permit to carry. It arrived in about a week and a half, and it was a photo ID card, and I had like massive curly fro hair. It was insane.
I kind of want to see it.
I was gonna say,
I have it
I'd
all.
love to see that.
I still have it. I'll have to bring it sometime.
Nice. I can't wait for that.
My college years, I put on my hat and I had like bushy curls all like outside the hat. Hey, my wife thought it was hot, but
That's how you got her, huh? The curls.
she still wants me to grow it out. But I said it's too unprofessional at 35 years old. But anyway, so I got that in the mail and went down to the gun store because in my naive line of thinking, I thought I couldn't even bring it home from the store without a permit to carry. I was that naive. And so I went to Army Navy on Grape Street in Whitehall and purchased a 4-inch barrel 1911. Actually, this little bad boy right here. I can't touch it or we'll be kicked off YouTube.
Yeah, we can't touch it on YouTube Live anymore.
Boo.
Ridiculous.
I told the guys, like, I feel like I'm in a strip club where I can just look and not touch.
We're just sitting here like throwing dollar bills at our guns.
So if I brought my gun up right now that I was about to dry fire, that'd be bad.
Yes.
Oh man,
I don't know if, I don't know if our guests are.
If the guests,
I have no idea.
Well, I would definitely assume that if they do, then yes, we would still be kicked off YouTube because at the rights rally on Monday, YouTube shut down. I think it was Breitbart's live stream because people were holding guns.
No, they didn't.
They did. Oh yeah, they sure did.
They kept shutting mine down on Facebook.
Now, was that like on purpose, or was it kind of like that? Because I kept hearing something about the cage.
I kept having. Well, number one, when we walked in, the buddy I was walking with, his phone like instantly died. It was fully charged. And I thought that was weird. And I was like, all right, well, you didn't charge your phone. And then I know for a fact mine was charged and it dropped to 10% as soon as I started my live video. It's when we got 3 blocks away.
Whoa.
So somebody had said jammers, a sign of jammers is they do deplete the battery really quick. Wow. And I was like, that's crazy if that's what really happened. But luckily I came prepared. I had like 3 memory or battery bricks, so I plugged that thing in and worked around it for the most part. But
man, that is insane.
I kept getting notifications for the stupidest stuff. The first one was 2 hours. They muted it because it had people playing music in the background.
Yeah.
So they'll like find anything they can use to shut something down.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Hey, so Josh, one question for you, and the same question will go over to Brandon after here in a minute or two. My question for you would be, at the rally, what did you carry? And if so, what did you carry?
So I had a Glock 19 appendix and a spare mag and like a sidecar holster. I was wearing my plate carrier kind of incognito. I had it underneath my jacket because I was there. My job was to do camera work. The group we were with was getting interviewed a lot, kind of like Brandon was. So my thing was I turned down a bunch of interviews, but I made sure everybody I was near, I was videoing as well, because I did not want anything getting spun differently in the media than what it was actually going on. As we've seen, they've already tried to do that a few times, so that kind of concern was warranted. But I had my little 7.5-inch pistol in my backpack as well.
Okay.
AR.
So you were almost as much gray man as you could get, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you had no idea until I tried to there was one time I had to stretch because of my plate carrier. I had AR 600 plates, so they're a little bit heavier than the ones I was used to, and I kind of just did this one number, where I kind of stretched a little bit, and I noticed my jacket had kind of come behind my pistol. So I was like, oh, yep, hurry up and fix that a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon, how were you able to conceal carry the Barrett 50 cal?
It's challenging, I'll tell you. Even in the Pelican case, it's pretty obvious that that's just a giant gun or a giant case full of guns or one of those things, But yeah, so obviously I had the Barrett, right? And then I everyday carry a Glock 43, so I still had that on me. That pretty much goes, if there's not metal detectors, it goes with me. So I had that on me, and then I also had a Glock 17 in a like a military. I think it's the UM84. Everybody loved my holster. I'm not just kidding. Everybody hated my holster, but it's like it's actually not even cheap. It's like $85. But it's like the generic like U.S. military like flap holster, I guess. And I just like that because in my business as a gun dealer, I just carry so many different guns. Like you never know what you're going to be using at the range that day, so that just works really well. You can almost throw any full size pistol in there. So yeah, that's what I had.
Gotcha. So. My other question for you, Brandon, is about your Barretts. Part one of this question is how long did you know? How long were you planning of? Yeah, I'm going to this rally. Like, was there a certain time frame, or was it spontaneous? Walk us through that.
So it was one of those things. Like we were hemming and hawing if we were going to go. I had booked a hotel like a real cheap, just like a Super 8 or I think it was like a Sleep Inn or something like that for like $60 a night. Fleas guaranteed, something like that. That was like 8 miles outside the city. I booked that like maybe 2 weeks before the event because some friends were like talking about going down. So I was like, all right, like just in case things get crazy and everything fills up, let me get that. But we weren't really serious about going. And then maybe like 5 days before the actual rally, so we're only talking like Wednesday or Thursday, the hype just kept building about this event, and just everybody, it seemed like on social media, was talking about what was going to happen. And I just said, you know what, I want to go, and I just want to be there, and I want to, kind of just be a part of history, I guess. Like, I'm an optimist, so I really didn't expect anything to happen, violently, or anything like that. But yeah, it was a pretty, for most things I do, I plan things out like this pretty well in advance, a couple of months maybe. So yeah, for me, it was pretty last minute. We just kind of packed up, and I was able to book a hotel like 4 blocks away from the event. And yeah.
Gotcha. My next question will probably be the most obvious one that you answer all night. Why the Barrett?
Yeah, I guess it was really just for the attention, owning the gun store. Whenever I bring that thing out, everyone loves it. Everyone wants to take a picture with it. It's the showstopper way. So I figured, if you're going to go, I knew everybody else would be bringing out their coolest gun. So, that's kind of half the point of being into guns, right? Is like the one-upsmanship. So
I love that.
I love the amount of honesty right here.
That's very true.
You can't get this anywhere else on the internet.
This
is pure honesty.
We do appreciate that.
He's like a walking billboard for his business. That's great.
Yeah.
I was going to say this had to be the best business move ever.
That really wasn't my intent. Like when I went down there, I was prepared to I wasn't going to bring my ID, besides what was legally required. Like I was going to cover my face, even though I don't think you were supposed to. I wasn't going to, have my interview, given or have a picture taken, whatever. And then the first actual reporter came up to me, and I'm looking at this dude's camera, and I'm like, all right, I know what this Barrett's worth, but your camera's worth 5 times what this thing's worth. Yeah, I'll talk to you. Yeah, I'll tell you my business.
That's awesome. So I'm sure that you have received your fair share of criticism for it as well. How have you handled that? And has the criticism versus the praise been overwhelmingly one way or the other?
Sure. So I have gotten some, I guess not as much as I thought without looking for it, we only got 1 or 2 actual hate mail emails or whatever through our business, and they're all just childish, you're dumb, whatever, I don't care. But it was kind of funny. I don't know if I'm sure you guys do watch The Office. I don't see towards the end of the seasons of The Office, when the show actually comes out in their universe or whatever, and there's a scene where Andy's watching YouTube clips, and people are picking on Andy, and he's obsessing over every single one. No, you suck. No, you're not. So and that's me if I let myself be that way. There was some thread on Reddit I saw, and there was when I looked at it, there was 5,000 comments, and none of them were very nice, So I'm looking through them, and my wife's like, "What are you doing? No, turn that off. We're not doing that. There's no good that will come of any of that." So, yeah, I've been trying to just stick to the positive ones, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some, but I've really been trying to do my best. When someone actually says something to me, I've been trying to respond to it and, appreciate the love. So I try to give it back,
Yeah. And that's really the winning part of the gun community, is that we all take care of each other. We are all happy to share each other's stories and businesses, and we're just here to look out for one another. I mean, Josh helped me with that tonight and getting you on the show. And I reached out to Josh and I said, "Hey man, I know you're on your way home. You want to come on the podcast, talk about your experience?" And then Josh messages me today and he's like, "Hey man, I'll do you one better. I can get Barrett Brandon on the show." And I was like, "Let's do it. Let's rock this out." So, I mean, I just can't say how thankful I am that you guys went and just moved yourselves to go to this thing. And the rest of us that, stayed home and weren't able to go, I just can't thank you enough for representing us.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough, but we really wish we could have been there. I know when this whole thing went down, I messaged these guys. I'm like, all right, who's going? I've got like 3 days of PTO left at work. My boss said it's okay. I get Sunday off to travel. And then we were like, well, I can't go for this. I can't go for that. Childcare. And it's like, it all just kind of fell apart. And then that weekend ended up being like really busy at work. And I wasn't able to travel out for Monday, but like I said, I can't thank you guys enough for just making that movement and being there. And I wish I could have been there just to see that many people armed, peaceably, and just the smiles on everybody's faces.
Right.
Everyone just being nice. Black Lives Matter was there. LGBT was there.
Black Guns Matter.
Black Guns Matter was there. Like, dude, everybody was there. And
Alex Jones was there.
Alex Jones was
got
there.
to see his
That's what I was
setup.
about to
That was
say.
amazing.
Dude, I love that guy so much,
I do
man.
too.
Oh my gosh.
and apparently it was like clothing optional.
Well,
it
and
always
as
is,
time
yeah.
goes on, like he's kind of proven to be right. It's the thing. And now I understand why they kicked him off of social media, deplatformed him.
So, I mean, what a representation of what we are. People cleaning it up afterwards. One guy saying that we want to set the example of how you protest, how this is done on a professional level.
Yep.
I saw a clip today where somebody put side by side our 2A rally next to an Antifa rally. And it just gave like 5-minute clips of each one. And it was like, everyone's quiet, like everyone's like peaceful, everyone's getting along, smiles, pictures, whatever. And then Antifa is like people getting beaten and people throwing crap at each other. It's
Trash left everywhere.
after they're done. And it's just, thank you guys for being active in our community and representing us and being a prime example to America that we aren't just a bunch of like whacked out rednecks from the sticks that
Some of us are.
Well, that's the thing.
My wife calls me that sometimes. So
But leading up to this rally, the media was really portraying us as like these whack jobs.
Yeah.
Like they were white supremacists are going to storm the Capitol for gun rights and all this stuff. And we showed them, it's like, no, this was a peaceful rally of a variety group of people all fighting for their rights to carry firearms.
That's right.
Yeah.
So for anything, like we disprove the media, which I love. Unfortunately, I don't. I want to get your guys' opinion on this because obviously you said they just passed the red flag laws. We show up in force. We did a great job presenting and representing our community. But if they don't listen, like what's next? Do we just continue these rallies from one capital to the next, state to state? You know what I mean?
Brandon, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's a tough one. And New York, I feel like we've lived through that. The SAFE Act was passed. We had a similar rally in Albany back in 2013. We had 50,000 people show up. We were a lot more low key about it, I guess. I don't think we had the same open carry, which is, I don't know if that's even legal in Albany at the Capitol anyways, but it's much tougher in New York. And again, we had all those protests and nothing happened. We still have the same law. It's 6-7 years later. New York might be a little bit more of a lost cause than some of these other states, but really, I think it's just about educating people and getting them out to the polls. And we've really got to do away with that apathy among voters of just, my life isn't really affected by it, so I don't care. The Second Amendment, it's one of those things, you might not be a gun person, but man, the Second Amendment secures all your other rights that maybe you do care a lot about. So I think it's supremely important.
Amen.
Opie, were you going to chime in on that?
I mean, he nailed it. So
okay.
It's,
so I thought you were going to have your own response.
I was kind of speechless after that one.
One of the things that will actually come out on Monday's show that Steve and I recorded earlier today was I was talking about a Martin Luther King quote where he says that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And I'm a person of faith in God and Jesus Christ, and I can't make everyone believe that. And of course, here in America, everyone is entitled to their own, way of worshiping whatever God they choose to worship. And I can't change everyone's hearts and minds to believe the way I do. I do think that if everyone believed in the Christian faith that I believe in, that we would all get along, we would all love on one another, and everyone is of one mind. However, that's not America. America is free to be you. You do you. And the Second Amendment is what I fight for so hard, because it not only protects my right to worship, it protects your right to worship in your own way too. It protects your right to speak in whatever way you want to speak. You can believe whatever you want, and you can be whoever you want because of the Second Amendment, because those other rights can't be touched as long as we have guns in our hand.
That's what's nice about the Second Amendment, is it doesn't discriminate. You use
It's
the
for
Second
everyone.
Amendment as this tool to protect your way of life.
Yeah.
So no matter what your way of life is, because we're all different, the Second Amendment is there for you. That's why we have it. That's why it's so important. That's why we can't just let it dissolve.
Yeah. Because then you start to get hate groups and persecution like the Jews experienced under Hitler. That's what happens when you disarm a populace. And
Or a segment of the population.
Or a segment of the populace. So like religion, I mean, we all, the Mandalorian quote is,
This is the way.
This is the way.
Oh,
but
okay.
I was saying, I love that.
Guns are a part of my religion.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the way.
Yeah, this is like it protects my religion. And I think if we all come to that foundational basis, that foundational agreement, that through educating people that are on the fence, educating people that may be anti-gun but are open to coming to the range, having those conversations, much like witnessing as a part of your religion to get people to come to your religion, it's that way with guns and the Second Amendment. It's helping them understand why it's here, but also not to be fearful of it either.
And I'd add to that, one thing I noticed, I talked to a few people myself, there was actually people from the other side there trying to understand. And I think if more people would just do that, you have a completely different world in front of you. You know what I mean? So that was pretty powerful to see that. Not only the whole event was powerful, but to see individuals like giving it a chance. Because you don't really expect that with what you hear in the media and everything leading up to it. I mean, hell, I thought it was a false flag event written all over it. Luckily, it wasn't anything like that. But, seeing those people, talking to those people, it really made my heart happy and gave me that hope again that there's still a chance to win some hearts over.
So maybe that's kind of the point of some of these gatherings, is to give us all a rejuvenated spirit when it comes to our own ideology and our own thought process, and always getting beat down by the media and the left, is that we can all assemble, and it's all there to like lift each other up and be like, hey, we got this. Look, there's 20,000 of us, or there's 30,000 of us. I mean, Brandon, you said in New York right before the SAFE Act, there was 50 to 60,000 that showed up to protest. I didn't even know that.
So,
In 2014, I didn't even know that,
yeah.
because it's not covered, it's not talked about. So I think that's kind of giving each other hope and that encouragement to move on and to keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
So are there any other conversations that you guys had while you were there that were either enlightening to you, or that you were able to have like an open conversation with someone else that believed a different way?
Not so much somebody that believed a different way. A lot of them were on our side, but it was really cool talking to a lot of the cops that were down there. They're on duty. They can't really get political, but you could tell, there were some who couldn't have cared less. There were some who were just there doing their job. But, I was talking to some of them, and they really seemed interested, and they wanted to just, talk to you about, like, oh, well, obviously, oh, what's the Barrett? Like, tell me about it, this and that. there's some pictures floating around of me like posing in front of the cops, and they couldn't have been cooler about it. Like, you know, they had to stand out there too all day in the freezing cold. But a couple of them did joke that it was better than writing tickets and normal like cop stuff. So
that's what I like, because we had a 2A rally here, like 2 summers ago?
Yeah.
Now, and it was a great turnout. And as you know, cars were driving by, and we have all these people that are open carrying, like they're just honking and like waving their hand in support. We even had police officers do the same thing. So it's nice to see that with law enforcement, or really just the general public that's watching.
And there was a great showing of sheriffs out there. I mean, the main local sheriff that had said he was going to deputize all those citizens so that they wouldn't lose their rights, he was out there shaking hands and meeting people, like
that's awesome.
Being proactive about it and not just talking the talk.
And I think a lot, since this rally was peaceful and it represented the 2A community very well, I think everyone on the outside looking in, you know, they read those news reports talking about how it was going to be like this horrible incident, and then nothing happened. And I think that's going to change a lot of people's minds, at least get them curious into like our fight, and hopefully bring people into the 2A community.
Yeah, those on the fencers you're talking about.
Yeah, the on the fencers. You know,
Right.
People that are anti-gun, they're going to be anti-gun. It's kind of hard to change their minds. But there's so many people, the majority of people that aren't into firearms, they're just on the fence. They don't know about them. They're ignorant about them. And hopefully more are willing to learn about them.
Yeah.
And that's how we win this battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's up to people like us here to help inform those people of kind of our story. Maybe show them firearms and show them safe and responsible gun ownership, and explain the reasons why the Second Amendment is necessary to keeping this country free.
Right.
Right. But we also have to do that in a respectful manner too. We can't just like pound on the table and just like yell them like in their face, like, shall not be infringed. It's in the damn Constitution. Read it, you ignorant slut. You know, you just can't say that.
Wow.
Damn it, Karen.
I feel like you've been waiting years to say that.
Has that been like in the back of your mind?
Well, so here's the thing. Y'all don't watch The Office. I do, so they know what I'm talking about. Okay.
I love The Office. It's actually sitting here. Are you still watching The Office right now on my TV?
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
But it's funny because I've been into firearms for a long time now. I married a woman who was very liberal, not necessarily anti-gun, just very liberal. And over the years, we've been married for 10 years, she's come along. She's come to accept firearms and that I carry them. I wore her down over time, yes. But she attended Kyle's Apex program one time. We're doing like this little commercial video shoot, and she volunteered to be like the subject. So she went through this class, first time ever. It's all with the SIRT pistol, so it's nice and safe. And after that class, we did an interview for our Black Site members, and it was amazing. It like opened her eyes. It made her feel safer with a firearm. She's even talking about possibly getting her concealed carry permit now. Like just going there and doing something, especially like the Apex program where it's not live fire, it's SIRT pistol training. Like that could be a game changer for a lot of people. So it could be as simple as inviting friends that are on the fence to a class like that, or out to the range, or really just anything. Just get them, just have them tip that toe or dip that toe into the waters, and it's going to do something.
Absolutely. There was like, you know, you guys have all seen these pages that literally just send their minions to bash people when they find a comment or a post that they could just destroy.
Yeah.
And we try to do something different on our page. Like there was one today that the kids said that they locked themselves in the Capitol and they never felt more scared than their life, you know, and I shared their post and I said, instead of going and doing what I know y'all want to do, why don't you go there and just try to like speak on the good stuff of it and try to change some hearts. And everybody that I saw that it came from my page all kind of made reasonable sense and, you know, put some good points out. And these people just kind of, like you said, maybe they haven't got enough education to know the difference. So they're just, you know, throwing out what they've been told, and all they need is to actually get involved one time to see what it's actually like. And then you have a completely different story on your hand.
Yeah, I mean, if you just follow the mainstream media, I see why people are afraid. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
That's why I didn't
that's
want to
not
get
reality. it's crazy. You have to get around that. Don't focus on that. Focus on real life experiences. Try things out.
Yep.
Be adventurous.
Carry a Barrett.
Carry a Barrett. By the way, how much is one of those Barretts?
Probably about 8,000 or 9,000, right?
So they've come down, from where they used to be. I know they used to be like 10, 12,000 for the gun, but an M82A1, I want to say right around like with the scope, 8,500.
Oh man,
maybe.
I'm gonna buy one.
Gucci Kyle.
Yeah, I ended up getting mine as a used gun. That's how I get, most of the cool ones. I had a friend of mine who was a gun dealer, another FFL, and one of those things, he fell in love with a girl for some reason in another country, and was planning on moving, and just had to get rid of everything he owned in the United States, sold off everything, including all of his guns, and it was just one of those guns he couldn't sell. So I was like, well, would you take this for it? And we ended up making a deal, and now I got her.
Nice. Hopefully that whole thing wasn't a scam. The woman across overseas.
He was going to help a Saudi princess.
We're all like, shut it down. Not today, ISIS. He was like, oh, I hit that.
It's awesome.
That's great.
Now, Brandon, do you have your class 3 and stuff?
I do. Yeah, actually, we just switched everything over. Now we have a class 2, so we're actually a manufacturer.
Awesome.
So I don't know how much we're actually going to manufacture, but maybe now with our newfound notoriety, maybe we'll get on that a little sooner.
Some Molotov cocktails for the next rally.
I actually have a couple submachine guns, and that was like the other choice. It was like, do I bring the Barrett or I have a select fire UMP in 40 cal with the compressor and everything? So it's like, which one? And obviously the Barrett one.
Yeah, you made a good choice. That really stands out.
I wish
more.
I had choices like that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Big Dick Brandon is kind of a good suppressor company name.
Hey. You need to get on that copyright right now. Right now.
He's writing it down.
That's right, man. That's right.
Hey, so is that the big dick right there?
I got my big dick suppressor here. This is 15 inches.
That's the recommended size by all the ladies.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Brandon?
I said for the concealed carry models, we have the Chode.
That's awesome. Hey, so we have a couple comments coming in. I'll read one of them. It's from Josh. He says, Brandon, what's the longest shot you've taken with the 50?
So I have a farmer who lets me shoot on his property, and I would say 1,200 yards would be the longest shot. And that's shooting at like old propane tanks and water heaters and things like that, And the Barrett has never been known as a precision instrument. You'll get 2 MOA, I think, is really kind of the best you can hope for with a gun like that. So, it's not really a precision gun, but it's a lot of fun to shoot. So
yeah.
So from an AK owner, 2 MOA is gold. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to trade in the Wasser 1063 for the Barrett, so I can get 1 inch less MOA.
Nice.
I'm sorry. The Barrett would be a really nice centerpiece for this table.
I think you'll
very
need
true.
a bigger
It really
table.
would.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
It's pointed right at the camera every time we go live.
Hey, so I have a question for you, and if you answer this incorrectly, we'll probably hang up on you, Brandon. Have you had any really gorgeous women fire that Barrett while standing up and recorded it in slow-mo? What's your answer?
there may be some privately held footage. That's a different stream, I think. That's a different platform. Can't be on this one.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's awesome.
It reminds me of one Instagram video that I saw looping a couple of years ago.
Well, please share it.
Okay, if I can find it.
Yeah.
What I do love about the Barrett is that it is, wherever you carry it, it falls into the magazine ban. So you're less than 10 rounds. So you can gray man conceal carry that somehow and go to Connecticut, let's say, right?
Yeah, and there are people in New York I know that own them and have them legally. It's not optimal, but you can lock the magazine in place. We've done it before for guys, and if the magazine cannot readily be removed, you don't have to make any other modifications to the firearm. So it's not ideal to load it. You have to hold the charging handle back and then like finger F the gun, to get the rounds in there, but you can do it, and you can own it, so at least you own a Barrett. But yeah, there's ways to do it legally in New York, but it's much easier to just pay the money and get your FFL, and do it like how so much easier.
All I can think of is, how like the World War II vets have like grand thumb.
Yep.
Barrett thumb. Like you just have like this little nub, right? Like there's
got nothing.
It's like, hey guys, how you doing? But note to self, to any burglars in New York, do not break into a gun owner's home in New York because they'll be defending their home with a Barrett 50 cal after they traded in their AR-15s.
Right.
Brandon, is the round limit less than 10 in New York?
So that's a hard question to answer, honestly. And I don't know if even our governor, Andrew Cuomo himself, could answer that question.
I've been told 7 before.
Yeah, the way the law was written, and it still reads that you're actually limited to 7 rounds. But there was a federal judge in the Western District. New York is split into 3 federal districts. The Western District judge, which luckily that's where I live, he ruled that that's ridiculous and that has to be struck, and then it goes back to 10. No, other than basically stock 1911s and a few other guns, like 10 rounds is the standard. But there's some ambiguity in the law. I've heard people further east, like down towards Long Island in the city, where they've still gotten jammed up for having 8, 9, or 10 rounds in the gun. That's another problem in New York. It's such a hodgepodge. We have the troopers, we have your local sheriff, we have your local police, which is probably the same for everywhere, but they all just enforce things differently. The local sheriffs, they don't care in any way, but sometimes the troopers, they really seem to have a hard on enforcing some of these laws, and they just jam people up, that really haven't committed a crime other than they have a piece of plastic with some ammo in it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So another question we have coming in is from Will. He says, what precautions did you have to take when traveling with that Barrett, if any?
Sure. So I pretty much followed like the NRA, love them or hate them. Their ILA has a pretty good some legal resources and things like that. So they've always done a pretty good job of like knowing your rights as a traveler in the U.S. So I try to keep a copy of that, and I follow all their recommendations and laws. I had it in a case. I had it locked up, and it was in the trunk, the bed of my truck with a cover on it and everything. Then I had the ammo separate up in the cab of the truck. So I pretty much just drove, and then again I kind of cheat. I have an FFL, so I make sure I always keep a few copies of that in the truck, and I keep them in the case, and I keep them on me, things like that. So I'm a pretty safe driver too. Like I try to just blend in. So I rarely get pulled over. I just got pulled over for the first time since I was 16 years old, and I'm almost turning 30 soon here. So I do pretty well, but no problems. Drove right down, came back. Even if we'd had an interaction, I wouldn't have been worried about it.
Yeah, good. That's awesome.
I think that's what's crazy about just gun laws in the United States is just how fractured the whole system is. Because I know Eric and we took a trip to Arkansas to visit with one of our listeners, and just going through Illinois, my heart was just thumping. Every cop car, I was thinking that was a Nazi SS officer. Because if I do one thing wrong, I'm going to jail.
Do they have brown uniforms like the SS?
They probably do.
I'm curious now.
But that's how I literally felt going through that state. Because most of the time, where I travel, it's fine with our concealed carry license. But it shouldn't be like that. How can you just be a law-abiding American in Indiana? You go to Illinois and you're a felon. Like, that is so wrong. That is so morally wrong.
I've never seen Steve that nervous before. We crossed in the state line, and he's like, "We're here already? Like, we're in Illinois already?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." And I was like totally cool and calm. Like, I've been to Illinois. I have family over there. We travel there quite often. However,
I thought we were going to stop before we went over state lines.
I've never seen Steve that nervous because, and the thing is, like 2 miles into the state, we had a state trooper behind us. And all of a sudden, like, Steve went from sweating, and then all of a sudden I was sweating because I was like, "Why are you so nervous?" He's like, "I still got my gun on me." I'm like, "Oh crap!" Anyway, so I'm going the speed limit. I'm trying to drive middle of the lane as best I can. And I'm like 2 hands on the wheel, and he comes up next to us and just slowly, does a roll by, and he keeps going. We're fine. But I'm glad I got that tint installed on my windows.
Yes, but afterwards I found out, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
We just can't do it outside the car. I can't carry the firearm outside the car. But still, the whole point is that it's so fractured, and if you make one mistake, you're going to jail. Like, that is just wrong.
But to your point, though, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And we were nervous for it turned out to be no reason at all, but we didn't know that. And so you think you're going to this communist state, and you hear all this stuff. You do as much research as you can, but sometimes it's not even enough. Like, I didn't know in New Jersey you can't have hollow points. Who knew? But because somebody got arrested, and that was one of the things that was pinned onto their indictment.
Yeah, the lady got 3 years.
Yeah, we all found out
for
that
accidentally going into the state and getting pulled over. Yeah.
So
that's what we have to deal with as gun owners.
It's crazy.
Yeah. For any of our listeners, it looks like we're kind of coming to a close here. Do you guys have any questions for Brandon or Josh while we're still in the air with them? So send them in.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have one question for both of you. I would like to know, where can I follow you on social media? And I would like to start with Josh.
So we have every platform now. So YouTube is where we put all the hard worked videos that we've been doing lately, all these review videos and stuff. So it's youtube.com, Opie and the Smokies. Instagram is Opie and the Smokies, and Facebook is Opie and the Smokies as well. Instagram is all just original content from us, and Facebook is kind of like a mixture of whatever we can find that's relevant to the gun industry. So we reach a lot more people on Facebook. So like our live videos and stuff are mostly on Facebook. We do try to share them to YouTube and stuff as well, but Facebook is where you'll find the most content at.
Awesome. Thank you. Brandon, your turn.
Sure. Yeah. So we've got a Facebook page. It's the Firing Pin. I think it might be the Firing Pin LLC if you look us up. And our Facebook page is much more of our professional. That's our business page. We really try to keep that clean, as if your mom was reading it, because mine does.
We have moms pop in during the live stream, so I understand.
And but then we also do Instagram. That one's kind of our more youth friendly. We're a little bit more cool on that one because my mom doesn't have Instagram. So we're at the Firing Pin on that, and that's just exploded since this whole thing. We had I think we had just over 2,000 followers when I left on Monday, and we have over 6,000 now. Just
That's
absolutely
awesome.
Yeah, and then we had to, because people were begging us for it. We started making shirts and stickers. So if you go to BarrettBrandonTFP.com, you can buy a shirt with my face on it, holding a Barrett.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure.
Before I forget, we're giving a portion of all the proceeds of any of that we raise. We're going to give that to the Virginia Citizens Defense League. That's the people who organized the rally down in Virginia, and they did an amazing job.
Yes, they did.
It was super good rally, and I know a ton of planning goes into things like that. So kudos to them.
Nice.
That's awesome. One quick question before we get off here, for both of you all. Are you planning on going to the DC rally this year? And if so, are you going to stay off the grounds where you can't carry a firearm, and are you bringing the Barrett back?
I think I have to, I guess. That's my thing now. So I wasn't intending on going to it, but I think it's in my best interest. And I think it's really resonated with people so much. I think it's kind of in the community's best interest, I guess, if I do go. So any of these events or rallies, please send me the info. I can't I own a business. I've got a family. I can't promise I'll make every one, but please send them along, and I'll do my best and at least share it and get hopefully some more people to it.
Now that's in October,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And we have a Chris Costa class that we're doing with a lot of our listeners in September. So I need to get the wife's permission because I would love to go.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, it's actually over Lucy and I's anniversary, so I will not be going.
Oh man.
Why don't you just bring her? Like, babe, don't you want to go to DC?
Oh my gosh, she would.
She's like, I just need to take a quick stop. Real quick, 8 hours. That's it. We'll go to dinner afterwards. We can meet up with Big Dick Brandon. It's gonna be amazing.
You gotta meet this guy.
Gotta fight some tyranny real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Now.
We do have a question from Mark, who's currently watching. So he says, what about the governor and his like-minded friends? Are there any plans to remove this guy from office? He's obviously a threat to the Second Amendment. What else can people do about this? I know a lot of people felt very helpless when we had this big rally. We felt like they had all this momentum. It was a very positive thing. And the very next day, he just passes all this crap anyway. And he even went on to remark, he was visiting a local municipality, a local county, and said that, it's great that it went peaceably. He actually took credit for it going peaceably. And then went on to say that they had their chance to speak when they had their opportunity to vote, and they didn't show up, and all these Democrats got voted in. They had their chance and pretty much just blew us off.
Well, I think they feel like they're empowered because they were voted into office to do this.
Right.
So the rally, in their eyes, is really just a demonstration that doesn't mean anything. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Thoughts?
Yeah, he definitely had his mind made up before. I think even in that same place, he had said that they had de-escalated some situations,
Right.
and just the balls. He acts like he's got branded balls, like talking the way he does to his constituents. You know what I mean? And I can't believe that somebody is that disconnected from what the majority of the people in his state want. And I think somebody like that is not only a dangerous person to our rights, but he's also dangerous to causing freaking chaos. Like, eventually people are going to snap, and I don't think it's the best people that are the first ones to snap necessarily, or maybe the most patient, but it only takes one spark, and then you have a out of control situation at hand.
Yeah, it seems like such a similar situation from here in New York. Our governor, Andy Cuomo, it's like he sits up in his ivory palace and it's like, what am I going to do today? It's just, we deal with it. We live with it. And it's, they're in charge and we're the people. So.
And that's the thing, is that is the furthest from what America was intended to be. And I'm not going to sit here and say just because we had 22,000 people show up,
60,000.
whatever the hell the number was.
75.
I saw like a whole bunch of different numbers.
I wish it was like a little Subway thing where they have like the little 3-arm rotating and everyone just walks through and it counts everybody counter. And you'd be like, oh, how many people showed up today? And but all these guesstimates, 20,000 to 75,000 were estimated in there.
80,000.
It was 80,000 now.
It could have been 150.
So there was
from what I saw.
there was 2.4 million people that showed up to this rally, and I'm not saying that just because all of them showed up, and maybe even only half were actually from the state of Virginia. Should they change their legislation because of that when there's 2 million people in Virginia that voted for the governor? So I'm not saying that it has to change, but we need to know that our voices are heard, or else what's the point in demonstrating at all?
Right.
Yeah.
So the question out there lies, next time that there's a two-way rally, and let's say that they do go ahead and make it an all-out assault weapons ban. They ban firearms, or there's some mandatory buyback, mandatory registration. That seems to be that proverbial line in the sand. And I know for us, we talk about that being several years ago with other legislation, but the straw that breaks the camel's back here. At what point do we have 50 to 60,000 armed people show up to a Capitol and it's not peaceable at all. And we just get blown off, and they pass this sweeping legislation where now all the rifles we're holding are banned. And that law is passed today, and the police start trying to arrest protesters or demonstrators at one of these peaceable rallies. Do we start fighting back and actually storm the Capitol, drag them out into the street, and use that guillotine that somebody set up? Was that real? Was that a real working guillotine?
I didn't see it. I was so upset I didn't see it in person.
It was a real guillotine, but I don't think it was a real blade.
Gotcha. All right. So, but anyway, someone needs to fix that for next time. But
at this rally, there was enough people to storm that.
Right. We outnumbered police.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
we could have got in the Capitol if we wanted. Like, that wouldn't have been an issue. There was, well, from what I can see, and I know we don't see all of them, there was probably 5 to 10 snipers we were able to point out. I don't think 5 to 10 snipers have ever taken out even 30,000 people in history. You know what I mean? So I hate that we even have to have this discussion, because I'm even having to have the talk that's with people like, what are you willing to sacrifice for this? Because that's the part where people stop supporting it, is if they're going to lose their job, or like if they have to sacrifice themselves or even their families. Like, think about what our founding fathers went through to get us where we were. And then now, like, we're sitting here kind of dealing with some crazy stuff that could eventually put us as almost complete slaves, you know? So, like, where do we draw that line? Where are we willing to sacrifice everything to make it stop for future generations?
Well,
something that's tough too. One of the things we were talking about on our, before we left from my shop, a couple of the guys were asking, things kick off down there. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to storm the Capitol, and then you're going to drag them out into the streets, and then you're going to, then what? You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we have this energy, we have this passion, but then it is almost like, well, are we saying we're going to round them all up and shoot them in the streets? And it's like, is that the society, that we want to live in? I guess. I don't know. So it is such a, like, what do we do now? And I don't know. I haven't heard that answer yet. And I think a lot of us are waiting for it.
Right. Well, there is something besides voting that we can do preemptively. And in some states, it may be too late. It may not. I don't know. So probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, we interviewed Rob Pincus on our show, and he had mentioned several great organizations that are a grassroots level of this Second Amendment, gun culture, right? And he had mentioned all these really good communities to be a part of, and that I didn't realize that there were so many specific communities that are part of the gun culture. There were, one of them is liberal gun owners.
What?
Yeah, they're liberal, but yeah. I was like, that's a thing, for real.
We have a show called Democrats Carry.
Yeah.
Because we had so many people just write in. They're like, "Hey, I'm a Democrat and I carry."
Right. So aside from tape, or aside from typing nasty words on a keyboard, there are other things that we can do to help support causes, and hopefully, when we have these rallies, nothing ever really pops off. That spark never gets ignited. I honestly hope it never does. But as responsible gun owners, there are certain steps that we can take in addition to voting the right people in.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of groups that will fit your personality, your lifestyle that's into firearms. Don't think you're the only one. There's groups out there. There's people out there. Yep. Find them. Be a part of something.
That's right.
And there was people that were tuning into our live feed that I was catching. The one that really stuck out was somebody from Italy was watching that. And hey, we support you over here. Keep doing what you're doing. Seeing that kind of stuff. People around the world are watching what's happening to our Second Amendment right now.
Yeah. I feel like we're the last stronghold that has this right.
I mean,
and it's really the only ones that have this right. And I don't want to let it slip through our fingers. We also don't want to be that first person out the door.
Yeah.
No one wants to be that guy.
All of Hong Kong is resting on us right now.
Yeah, I mean, prime example right there for sure.
And nobody wants Whiskey Warrior 556 to be the one to start it off.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You know, we were having a discussion, like, say if that did kick it off, and later on you kind of found out that it was kind of like a non-starter, but it started this movement that is a good thing. I mean,
I would say that's happened.
Though, right?
I would say that's happened many times in history before.
Yeah.
Like,
once we win, we can just rewrite the history books. We can put it in our favor. You know what I mean?
right.
What was it? The shot heard around the world was actually an accidental, it was like a misfire.
I don't think they really know, but I've heard that theory.
Yeah.
I've heard
That
that too.
musket was actually up for sale at an auction. Recently, I saw an article about that, but I was heard like he was actually supposed to hold and didn't. Just got a little jumpy.
Damn it,
I
Carl.
feel like that's happened in a lot of movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, the one old guy with the bow, and they're at Helm's Deep, and all these orcs and stuff, and he's shaking, and it's raining or whatever, and he just lets it loose, and like this hush just falls over everyone.
They're like, "Are we doing
And you're
this?"
like,
Are we-
oh, here we go.
Which, talking about like that musket for sale, one of our listeners, Will, says, "Have you had any offers to buy the Barrett since?"
None legitimate ones. You know, I had a lot during the rally where a guy would have like a Mosin and be like, "Oh, I'll trade you," you know.
Aw, come on, it's like, get out of here.
Yes.
I did have some friends suggest that I put it on Gun Broker with just like a ridiculous asking starting amount, and you know, put some proof up there that it's the real one, that it's me, you know. But you know, I love that gun so much before Monday, and yeah, I'm never selling that thing. No way.
I say I wouldn't either. If I was in your shoes, no. That's staying in my collection. I'm gonna bring that thing around the entire United States, whatever rally I attend.
Yeah.
Like, what would be fantastic if you auctioned that and got like, say, $2 million for it, and then you bought like 30 Barretts.
Okay, now I'm in.
All right, and then the next rally, you just start going around handing them to your friends and be like, "Hey, you."
The Barrett Army.
Barrett Oprah. You get a Barrett. You get a Barrett.
Make sure I'm at that rally. I want to be really close to you when that
Yeah,
happens.
same here. I'm going to need that memo.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so we had another comment come in a little bit ago. So one of the questions we had was from Josh again. He says our Michigan rally is in September. He believes this year. Would you drive that far to go to the Michigan rally?
Yeah, I mean, depending on where it is in Michigan, from where I am in New York, it might even be closer than Virginia was. Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's terribly too far. I think the only, again, depending on where it is in Michigan, I think sometimes you have to drive through Canada to get there, like where I am, or that's the easiest way to get there from where I am, I think. So, but yeah, for sure. Like, like I said before, send it to me at the Firing Pin.
Can you imagine going through Canada? Sir, do you have any firearms in the car? Just my Barrett.
Do you see how big this dick is?
The answer is yes.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. I can't thank you enough for, like I said, just moving with your feet and being present at that rally, joining us on the show. Brandon, when I saw the first picture of you there with that Barrett, I wasn't sure what was bigger, the smile on your face or the rifle in your hand. And, just going around, just spreading love and happiness with showing up with a spectacular firearm. I knew that if we were to storm the Capitol, you would take care of the drones for us. And it's just good to know that people like you are on our side.
Police vehicles.
So thank you both for spreading the love and the joy, and thanks for giving us an awesome rally to share with everyone in our community.
Yeah, it'll be talked about for years to come, I think.
Yeah, I think it will be that level set that all others will be measured by.
Yep.
It was vastly successful. I look forward to more, because there will be more. Like, there's going to have to be more of us that come to these things and take time off of work to do it.
I think this whole situation really opened the eyes of the gun community. You know, it made us realize we can't be asleep at the wheel. We have to be proactive. We have to be involved.
Yep.
If we want this way of life to continue.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. A little anxious also, but I think it's going to be, definitely a crazy journey. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So like those two gentlemen just said, thank you all so much for coming on the show. We have at Opie and a Smoky, and we have at the Firing Pin. Go find those guys on social media. Support their causes. Our gun community needs to be together because together we're stronger. Over to you.
Right.
That's right. And since these guys are together, is there like a business proposition in the works here, or are we going to have like a special? Can I say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Are we going to have a special Opie and the Smoky type patch for Brandon?
So that's actually how I got in contact with Brandon today, because there's a lot of patch companies that will rape their customers, and I did not want that to happen, especially when I saw that he was going to be donating proceeds to the Virginia Civil Defense League. I wanted him to make sure that he could get as much money as possible. That way he could get them as much money as possible too. Because I think even if he gets 1,000 patches, he's got an instant sellout on his hand.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I will definitely get one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, likewise. So it's going to be Barrett Brandon. Is that what's going to be on the patch?
Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah. If you go to that Barrett Brandon TFP.com, you'll kind of see like the first design we've got up there. And I think that's going to be like the first patch we put out too. But there's some classic memes and there's some classic some pictures out there that I think over the next few months we'll make some really cool merch out of.
You know, while we were having this interview going on, I thought big balls in a wheelbarrow with a mounted 50 cal would be a pretty cool patch too.
That's why I say we need like the mom approved patch, and then we need like the gun community patch. So do 2 versions at least.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Oh, that's great.
Just the silhouette of like me carrying a wheelbarrow and then like the Barrett barrel sticking out, and everyone will get it, you know?
With little like fuzz coming off out of the top of the wheelbarrow.
That's amazing. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll definitely, depending on what happens here in the future, if you release those patches, we'd love to have you guys back on and present that stuff.
Awesome.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Yep. And enjoy your newfound fame. Hope it brings you a lot of business.
I know. I hope it does too.
I hope so.
All right, guys. You have a good night, okay?
See you guys. Thank you.
Yep.
See
Bye.
ya.
Cool.
All right.
That was a great interview.
that was awesome. So that was completely unexpected. We were not expecting to have Brandon on whatsoever.
Right. I had no clue he was going to be on.
Am
Until
I-
he texted us, and I was like,
Yeah.
You
wait a
mean the
second.
guy that I've been seeing online for the past week? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I want him
Are you
on.
lying to me right now? Because if you are, I'm going to punch you in the throat. Like, that's how serious I was.
So
He's really the one guy that stood out because he just, like you said, Eric, he just had that smile on his face. He had that big ass gun, like perfect representation of the second or the 2A community.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. He is a great representation of everything that we are. Like, he's just all American, all around. People were kind of roasting him, and people were coming to his defense like no other. And they were like, he is the embodiment of what the 2A community is. Like, friendly, nice, cordial, loves a good freaking huge M82.
That's right.
Like the gun we all wish we had. He owns a firearm business in a blue state. He's everything that we hope to be. And, not to put all that on his shoulders all at once. But, I think he is going to continue to get a lot of popularity and be invited to more and more events. And, he's great to interview. I love that interview. He's got a great sense of humor. But he's one of us. And that's what we are, is just laid back. We love to laugh. We love to have a good time. We like to talk about guns and our love for them. It's awesome.
Yeah, the people that are being critical can just, that's the dark side of this community, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's not a whole lot of them. It seems like there's a whole lot of them, but the majority are people like Brandon, like us.
Yeah.
You know, like Opie and the Smokies.
And one of the first things he said, and this applies to even myself, is that, you know, he has from time to time worn his armor plates. There, from time to time, he's worn his, you know, bug out bag or rucksack, but never all at once. Plus carrying like a 20-pound rifle.
Yeah,
Right.
it's heavy.
You know what I mean?
All
and
day.
he was like, dude, I was so done. That is every single one of us.
Right.
Overwatch says, one of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
So, Joe, I don't think he's a listener.
He is now, though.
But
Guaranteed.
he is now. So
I'm going to be his friend.
I messaged him. I need to go find his page to send him a friend request. I already liked his pages. I already follow Opie and the Smokies from when he was on the podcast some years ago.
And he's going to help us do our shooting challenge patches as well.
Awesome. So I forgot where I was going with
Sorry.
No, it's no problem. But he, you know, we would all be completely worn out if we all had to wear our kit. I guarantee you 90% of that crowd that was there is a little sore the day after from wearing
I bet it was
all
an
that stuff.
eye opener for a lot of people.
Right.
And just 6 hours of carrying that. You imagine a whole boogaloo?
Ugh.
24/7.
24/7.
Watch your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I tell you what, even with the regular M16A4, I mean, it just, you get sore with it. You know, the strap rubbing your skin raw, and yeah, it's not fun. But something you have to do. I mean, suck it up.
Suck it up.
That's the
Get
best
through it.
advice I can give you. Just suck it up, man.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Kind of is almost like an interview, which
Yeah.
it wasn't supposed to be like that because we didn't know he was coming on. But it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah. Josh, Opie is a longtime listener of our podcast. He's a fan. He's got a great page started. If I mentioned it earlier, but it's called Red Beard Society. Great group of guys in there. Like he said, he's got a good following. And when he asks them to do stuff, they go and do it, and they do it in a nice manner. Josh, from time to time, has had to passionately police his page and, you know, kind of call people out on their shit. And he's not afraid to do that. So he's a great advocate and a great asset of the Waste Ammo podcast. And I was looking at my messages with Josh from earlier, and I found out about Brandon possibly being on the show at 7:04 today.
So, oh my god,
7:04 p.m. So it was literally like last minute. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's see what we can get him on.
2 hours before we go live. Let's do it.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Love it. And that's what these Wednesdays are going to be, basically. If we can get, especially local people or other people like that, just on the show, talk about random stuff.
That's right.
Not necessarily an interview. I mean, this was kind of more of an interview, but just really just talking guns, talking freedom.
Yeah,
That's what this Wasted Wednesday is going to be about. Unedited, raw, fun content.
that's right. Big shout out to Opie's followers too. He shared it on his page, and we had a few pop in and watched our show. So thank you all for doing that. We appreciate that.
And Black Site members, did you like the Marvin cam? Is that still going?
I don't know.
It's still going, but there might have been a problem with Restream. We had a few people not be able to see like other comments or what have you.
Yeah.
I kept it up because I was trying to make sure that I caught any comments that they had, but we only had maybe like 3 or 4 people, and then everyone kind of went over to the
Because
live page.
If you want the good audio and everything, it's on our normal streaming. But this was just something extra. We thought, let's just make a Marvin cam for Black Site members if you want to log in just to check it out.
I was wondering about that. I wasn't sure if like the audio was through the camera or if they'd be able to hear it.
Just the phone. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's just a different point of view.
Right. Something that we can do, throwing this out live, this is impromptu. Something we can do is after we cut off the main feed, we can keep this thing going, and they can see they can see what we do after the show.
Well, sometimes we talk about things that should not be aired,
It's the black side.
but it can be.
But it's on Facebook.
I was like, it's kind of, not really.
Right.
All right, so I think that's pretty much all I have. Do you guys really have anything else? Eric did get his handguard in.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
so
going to be a couple weeks before it's installed and in your hands.
Right. So, as you guys know, excuse me, I handed off the gun to Brad Dunlap of Black Bart LLC, and he said it was looking like the handguard was going to be in Tuesday. He wants to assemble it, make sure everything's good to go. He doesn't want the gun or the barrel or the new handguard to blow up in my hands. So he doesn't think there was anything like that I did assembling the gun that was wrong. He just thinks it was like a pressure issue. So he reduced the buffer tube and spring for a softer recoil. And also he said when I put the suppressor on it, he said it should work just fine.
Did he shoot it yet, or is he just...
I know he disassembled it, looked at it, but I don't think he's shot it yet. But we probably will go out to his backyard. He lives out in the country, middle of nowhere, and test it out once I get my hands on it. But I can't wait to have that in. But he is a over-the-road truck driver, and so he said it'll actually be a couple weeks before he gets back home. So he said, I hate to tease you, but it's in. I just got to get home and we'll get it together and you can get it picked up. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't have a timeline of when he's going to be home yet. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have it in my hand. So in the meantime, I'm going to be kind of getting everything else around, like the attachments I want on it, some rail pieces to put things on that I want, and we'll get it good to go.
Bad lever, magnifier.
Yeah. Bipod. So I'm excited. It's so hard to wait, but I'm ready for it.
Also, something else really quick before we go. Our shirts are in.
Yeah.
I'm wearing one tonight. This thing's super nice.
Ooh, it looks good. Looks good. Did you get those shipped out today or tomorrow?
I did not. So I stopped at the post office and they wanted like return addresses on them, but apparently Steve sent them out without return addresses through a postal program at Meyer.
Yeah, I never had issues.
I will die the moment I walk into Meyer from asphyxiation. So I cannot go in there. So I'm going to have to write. I can't use Meyer for anything. So
come on, Walmart Blue, get out of here.
I can't do red.
Are they going out tomorrow?
But they will be going out tomorrow.
Okay.
I have time tomorrow, and we'll be sending those out. So
Perfect.
I will send a big old announcement on the page when they go. I'll have to write return addresses on them tomorrow, or maybe I'll just grit my teeth, put on a respirator, and go into Meyer.
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah. And get those
But
out
give
to
me
you
the
guys.
receipt with the tracking information. That way I can update Gumroad for everyone that bought one.
Perfect.
So Josiah just had a question. He says, when was the cutoff time? Because I ordered one, but it was after the initial pre-order announcement.
There really wasn't a cutoff time. The pre-order was just to get an idea of demand.
Right.
And then after the holiday season, my sister started buying the shirts and making them. So now every order is done because we've had a couple that kind of straggled in at the end there. So they're all going out tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Nikki, I need to know if you have tall sizes. I need to know.
She said she was going to look into tall sizes and tank tops.
Okay.
I think it depends if they stock it here in Fort Wayne. It's going to be more expensive if you have to order it in plus shipping. So we'll just have to play with that.
Yeah, certainly.
Maybe do like a one lump sum. Like, who wants tank tops? We need at least this many.
I do need to place an order for my mom. She wants a wasted ammo shirt.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
I thought if we do like a purple or pink or something like that, she'd be down for that.
Yeah, there's a purple option.
Okay, that's what I thought. You had a purple one. So I'll hit you up with that.
Lindsay has one.
Right. I remember that one.
Nice.
And then lastly, I did put the Skizos shirts on hold while we were doing these wasted ammo shirts. I didn't want to put 2 shirts out and have to make people pick. So we're going to do some limited runs, just kind of get a feel for T-shirts, but I have not forgotten about the Skizos shirts. I want to get those out. But I was kind of waiting for this to kind of take its cycle, see how many people we have interested, playing that by ear. But I just wanted to do one at a time. I didn't want to.
We can do a pre-order again and see how many we get.
Right.
That's right. Yep. 1911 tier members. You got that list up?
No, do you?
No, I don't.
Pull up the show notes.
Or is it? Oh, I'm okay. My bad.
Easy
bro.
way to do it.
I'm doing it right now.
It's your job, Kyle. Remember, you took it over.
Well, I did. I really did.
I almost forgot, though, so I'm glad you thought of it.
That's why I said it. I was like, you know what? He's probably expecting
Kyle
me.
loves you guys.
I really do. I really do. So thank you to our 1911 tier members that support us every single month. You help make this show what it is, and we really, really do appreciate you. If you're interested in a Black Site membership, go to patreon.com/wasted ammo, and you will get all the details there. So our 1911 Black Site tier members are Shelby, Alexander, David, Dennis, Jesus, myself, Peter, Phil, Ryan, Joshua, Todd, Raymond, Seth, Chris, and Eric. Thank y'all so much for the support. We really do love you.
Yeah, we could not do this without you guys.
Yeah, Phil Meisnikowski says, why don't you have it memorized?
You know what? I probably should.
But here's the thing.
It changes a little bit.
Here's the thing. There are so many now. It's
Right.
hard to have that memorized.
That's very true.
And there are so many, and that is a good thing because that just means that there's more support for the show. We can pay the bills every month and then some. So that's the T-shirts we're doing, the patches we're working on from Opie, the shooting challenges. There's
a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff we're working
Yeah.
on right
Yep.
now, trying to make this thing happen. This is our dream to make this what we do for a living.
Yep.
So that we can quit our day job or this becomes our day job. So you guys are helping. You guys are laying the foundation for that, and I cannot thank you enough. And I'm glad that list is too long to memorize. It needs to be longer.
Yeah.
But thank you all. If you're not supporting us in the 1911 tier, it doesn't mean you're not important. Thank you for supporting us in any way you can. It means the world to us, and it keeps us coming back to the mics every single week.
Even you dollar guys, we appreciate it.
We see you. We see you.
We see you. Hopefully you're in Discord. Go to Discord. It's like the one perk you get.
That's
Go to
right.
Discord.
That's great in there. It's a fun
There's
place to hang
a
out.
lot of stuff that happens in Discord.
So since we had a special guest tonight, and since we were talking about the 2A rally, I did find a special outro song that I want you guys to check out. It's Buddy Brown. The song's called Patriot. Zombie Zach shared it to our Facebook group. Did you see it?
I did not.
It's a great song, so I'm going to say goodbye. The gates are going to close, but listen to the song. It's really good. So with that, this is Steve, Eric, and Kyle with the Wasted Ammo Podcast signing out. We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday. Make sure you join us. All right. See ya.
No, the government can't tell me what it is that I believe. They're all poisoned out and brainwashed up in Washington, D.C. I can't be bought, I can't be twisted up, 'cause I know who I am. Ain't no army gonna take my rights and come up on my land. Granddaddy gave me this gun and the flag in my yard. He told me war is hell, so you better stay on. Said don't go starting a fight, but defend what is yours. They try to force your hand, drag your name through the mud. They can't take that patriot out of your blood. Out of your blood. 100 million patriots like me ain't gonna stand aside, ain't gonna retreat. Men in boots built this country from the ground. Men in suits are busy tearing it down. Granddaddy gave me this gun and the flag in my yard. He told me war is hell, so you better stay on. Said don't go starting a fight, but defend what is yours. They try to force your hand, drag your name through the mud. They can't take that patriot out of your blood. Out of your blood. The greatest nation ever to exist lives deep within the blood of patriots. The greatest nation ever to exist lives deep within the blood of patriots. Granddaddy gave me this gun and the flag in my yard. Told me war is hell, so you better stay on. Said don't go starting a fight, but defend what is yours. They try to force your hand, drag your name through the mud. They can't take that patriot out of your blood. out of your blood, out of your blood.